Let me catch my breath. Hey guys, welcome back to the most chemically imbalanced podcast you listen to. Can y'all tell, like, my voice is shaking? I'm trying to preserve my excitement so I don't sound like a maniac. But we're on episode 20 now. That is amazing. I know I say that every time we reach, like, a new number threshold, but, like, once we got out of the double digits, then we got into the teens, now we're in the 20s. Like, the first clip sound of this podcast when we get to, like, episode 100 is, like, me gonna be screaming for a solid minute. Just right after the intro, I'm just gonna be like, ah! Like, it's gonna be insane. I'm so excited. Before I start this episode, you guys always know I have to talk about people who DM me and tell me, like, what they think of the episode or what they think of the podcast in general. And there's a few ladies that I connected with over TikTok and Instagram, and I send them my episodes, or just clips if the episode is too long. I send them clips of an episode that I'm about to put out, and I basically just ask them, like, is this shit, should I just scrap this whole episode and just start over? Because sometimes I feel like what I talk about is too morbid or too dark or too, like, depressing. If y'all remember, like, 5 episodes back, what that bitch said is still stuck in my head. Fuck her. But I always think that I'm putting out content that makes people feel bad, and I don't want to do that. So I always ask advice. Like, tell me straight up, because I do not want to put out shit. So if you think this episode is going to put you in a bad mood, or you think this episode isn't worth listening to, tell me. And one of the ladies that I really, really like, she made me cry because she was just speaking so much life into me. And I was just like, y'all know I hate when people compliment me, but it's different when they're, like, calling me beautiful than if they're complimenting something I worked really hard on. So I was snot bubble crying, like, my ears were sweating and everything. I was like, oh my God, like, girl. So episode 19, the last episode that I put out, I was really afraid to post it because I just thought it was sad. Like, I was talking about me wanting to die and stuff, and I was just like, this episode is going to make people not want to listen to my podcast, because I'm like, this bitch is sad all the time. Like, what is happening? And now, even though that's true, that's not necessarily what I want to portray myself as, or even this podcast as. And my girl hit me up, and she was like, so I just listened to the whole thing. She was like, I really need you to keep this episode posted, because she was like, out of all the podcasts that I listen to, yours is the only one that doesn't make me feel like I've dropped IQ points. You know, she was basically saying that podcasts grow so fast these days because they can only talk about these men versus women conversations, and these light skin versus dark skin conversation, and all these bullshit conversations that don't have any depth, but it gives people an opportunity to give their unwanted opinions, right? She was like, your podcast doesn't have that. Your podcast is literally you just talking about life experiences that you had, and hopefully the right audience gets drawn to it. She was like, that's the only reason why you don't think your podcast is as successful as it can be, because you don't talk about bullshit. And when she said that, I just started crying, because I was like, I mean, whenever you create something, even if you're not creative, I don't look at myself as a creative, but when you put so much time and energy into something and it doesn't get the reaction or the support that you think it's going to get, it makes you feel bad, right? Even if you just started, or even if you've been doing it for years, it's going to make you feel some type of way at some point. And so when she was telling me all of that, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, you're right. Because she was like, if you wanted to get famous, all you would have to do is talk about bullshit. You would have to talk about shit that you would be scared to get you canceled, even though it wouldn't. It would just drag people to your page, to your content, and now you got 1 million followers, because people love to hype up shit that makes them mad for some reason. And I don't know, guys, that just really made me feel good about this podcast. And I don't know, I just hope, you know, the right people, or the people who've had thoughts like I do, just slowly but surely come and follow and follow along. Because when we get to episode 100, bitch, this is going to be a whole new podcast. Like, 100 is going to be crazy. I've already talked to y'all about the hoodies and shit. Like, oh my gosh, I promise it's going to be crazy. But enough with that. Let's get right into the episode, guys. So to start off this episode, this has been something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and I just have to get it like off my chest. So you guys know like what stans are and stuff like that. It's people who are really, 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 really obsessed with certain celebrities. And stans have been along for just as long as celebrities have been out, right? What I don't understand about certain stans, like the Nicki Minaj fans and the Beyonce fans, is that I never understood why people get so upset when other people don't like that artist as much as they do. Like, I know everybody who's listening to this have seen or probably even been attacked by a Nicki Minaj fan. You know, you say one negative thing, or not even negative, just one like controversial thing about that artist, and all of a sudden your mom's a hoe and your dad's a bitch. Like, what? It goes back to what I was saying like in the beginning episodes, where I think being on social media or just the internet in general gives you, there has to be a study that's gonna come out like 50 years from now we all have like some type of mental illness that nobody knows about until 50 years from now. You know what I mean? Because it's like delusion, schizophrenia, and like OCD all balled up into one, but also focused on one person. And it's scary. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I love Donald Glover and Tati Gabrielle. Childish Gambino, if you don't know that they're the same people. And wait, before I even make this point, I'm going to give you guys a perfect example of what I'm talking about and why it's so scary for stans to be how they are. I know most of us have seen that picture of Ariana Grande going around where she looks like incredibly thin. Her eyebrows are bleached. Her hair is like bleach blonde, right? I've personally seen a picture of Ariana Grande be blonde before. I'm not sure if it was a wig, right? And she didn't look that bad with the blonde wig on. It's the weight loss that has people concerned, right? And in the comment section that I found myself in, I saw people like saying like, damn, what's going on? Like, actually like genuinely concerned. And all of her fans was like, she's fine, shut the fuck up, don't say anything bad about her, she's okay, she looks better than she's ever had before. Like, just going off. And it's just like, you don't want anybody saying anything bad about her to the point where you can't even see that this bitch looks half dead. Not to call her a bitch, because I'm pretty sure something medical is going on with her. But in their heads, they just don't know how to do anything but attack. And it's just like, you can't even really look at her for real and tell that something is wrong with her. You just want to, like, it's scary as hell. Like, something really could be wrong with her, and you over here telling people like your dad's a whore. What? It's like the whole Beyonce thing. If you don't believe that Beyonce got her body done, we're just going to leave that to how you think, right? And how you see the world. Not even saying that Beyonce got a BBL, but Beyonce for damn sure got her body done. And why wouldn't she, bitch? If I was a millionaire, I would too. I just had fucking 3 kids. Something is getting tucked and clipped and sucked in. So fuck y'all. But the fact that her fans would be like, Beyonce would never do that. Beyonce is the baddest bitch on earth. She don't have to get a BBL like the rest of y'all. If I was Beyonce and I actually got a BBL, do y'all know how bad that would make me feel? Like why couldn't I get a BBL? Like, why do y'all think that I'm so above a BBL? Like, what? Not even saying that she got a BBL, but if she got any type of nip tuck mommy surgery done, like, y'all are forgetting that y'all don't know her. Like, and that is so scary. And if I was Beyonce or if I was Ariana Grande, I would be fucking terrified, because I know you were calling yourself a fan, but you don't realize that in defending me, you're actually like giving me, you're insulting the fuck out of me. Oh, she don't have to do that. She would never do that. Queen Mother would never. Queen Mother did, bitch. I just had 3 kids. The titties was sagging and the ass was flat. I had to pump some shit up. And then they'd be like, Beyonce always had body. Exactly. So why wouldn't she want to upkeep? Like, it's just terrifying. So to the point that I was about to make, my 2 favorite famous people that I give a fuck about, like, would follow their whole career if I could, are Tati Gabrielle and Childish Gambino. I followed Tati Gabrielle literally from the 100 all the way till her current appearance in the show You. She's literally in my lock screen right now. Love her so much. Donald Glover, right? Love Donald Glover since Derek Comedy, Community. That's literally my man. Like, in my head, we go together. He just has kids by another woman. Like, that's my man. And I've heard people say the most disrespectful shit about Donald Glover that I've ever heard in my life. It doesn't bother me at all. I've heard people say that Donald Glover don't like black women, which isn't true. But hey, I don't know that nigga. It could be. I've heard people call him a coon, which I've heard him call himself that. But, you know, it's just like, I don't know this nigga personally enough to agree or disagree with anybody's opinions of him. All I like is his talent, abilities, and his face. That's it. And his voice. That's it. But with you calling him a coon and saying he don't like black women and calling him a passport bro is not going to make me change my opinion about him, because neither one of us know who was right or wrong in this situation. The only nigga that know is him, and neither one of us know him. So I'm just going to keep a blind eye to all of that until it's proven, until that man come out his mouth say, I don't like black women and I'm a coon on some Daniel Caesar type beat. Then I'm just going to only focus on on the reason why I do like him, which is his undeniable talent. I ain't never heard nobody say that nigga wasn't talented, because that's crazy. But I'm just going to choose to focus on the things that make me like him. I'm not going to talk about, you know, your dead brother that's in your bio all because you said you didn't like the same artist that I didn't like. Like, that's crazy. And you know what? Speaking of Daniel Caesar, because that nigga just put out an apology today. Listen, y'all. I already told y'all that sometimes I'm so pro-black that it makes me delusional. But I feel like black people are the most forgiving people on this goddamn planet. And it don't do nothing but bite us in the ass. I hate to see a forgiving ass black person where it don't belong. He came out with that bullshit apology talking about, so, well, I know it was wrong. And then you see black people in the comments like, oh, good, I can start listening to his music in public now. Or, y'all, he was drunk when he was saying that. Or, you were always forgiven. Like, why are we like that, yo? Why are we like that? I can tell this is about to be a rant. But we're talking about a nigga that has no concept of just how deep black people suffer in this country. And he had the nerve to come out his mouth and say, you know, why is it okay for black people to be mean to white people, but when white people be mean to black people, we can't just, you know, like, huh? Like, sir, what? I when I saw that video, even though he said he was drunk, I was like, that's how I know he mean it. And that's how I know he's been waiting to say this on camera for so long. None of his friends was like, hey, bro, push into the live. Turn the live off. None of his friends were even backing him up, telling him to, like, hey, y'all know that TikTok, like, Vaughn. Vaughn, like, please. None of his friends were even doing that. Them niggas was like, yeah, talk your shit, Danny. Like, so disconnected from actual black pain and black experience in this goddamn country. You can tell who he eats with and who he break bread with and who he owe all of his success to, because it's for damn sure not his skin folk. And I don't like that about us, how we can just be like, oh, it's okay, you're forgiven, like that nigga don't got the same thought process he hadn't had from 4 years ago. I'm not saying people can't change. I'm just saying that I'm not an easily forgiven ass bitch. That's what I'm saying. You can put out all the new music and you can see how it does. If it flops, it flops. If it doesn't, congratulations. But we not gonna act like you just about to be invited to the dinner table after you just disrespected. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm tripping. And also, before I even get to the next topic, y'all, because now I'm on a roll. I was talking about this to a friend like a couple weeks ago. I feel like when celebrities get to a certain point of fame or monetization, like when they reach a certain level of having money, that they're so far detached from regular people problems and regular like life difficulties that they have to start stirring up shit. Like they have to start diving into like these weird ass religions and cult like behaviors, and just have to start stirring up unnecessary ass drama and doing all this shit that is just like to make them feel some type of down to earth or some type of connection to other people when whole time you know what I mean? I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but it's just like I feel like the higher you get in fame and the more money you make, your authenticity as a fucking person, as a human being, just starts to drastically go away. Because there were a couple artists that were Christian when they first came out, and now these niggas are I don't know, y'all, and I don't want to start disrespecting anybody's religion, because I don't do that. I don't religion shame, but it's just like, I always say this, like, people with money piss me off, because just have money and chill. Like, just shut the fuck up. If I promise you, if I was ever a millionaire, I wouldn't say shit. That's why Frank Ocean don't talk to nobody. That's why Beyonce don't talk to nobody. That's why these niggas don't speak to anybody. Because, like, I'm trying to keep my basic human, like, feeling as long as I can. Because you niggas are damn near robots. And it's crazy. It's absolutely appalling. That puts me into another topic that I wanted to talk about. And, okay, so this might be a little Connie T. If you listen to the show from day one, you know Connie T means I'm about to say something controversial as fuck, but I mean it in the best way possible, okay? So if you are this type of person that I'm about to talk about, I promise you I don't mean any harm by what I'm saying. You know how people use zodiac signs, and I specifically say zodiac signs and not astrology, because I feel like if you're deep into astrology, you have some sort of knowledge about that shit. So I specifically say zodiac signs for a reason. I feel like people use zodiac signs and also undiagnosed illnesses to, like, relate to people or experiences they know they'll never have or never come across, you know? And let me explain before y'all get upset. Have y'all ever seen, like, a video or something, and somebody is in the comments, or even somebody says, like, oh yeah, that's a Scorpio, we do this, we do that, like, yeah, you know not to mess with us Scorpios. Girl, immediately shut the fuck up. Or if somebody, like, does something and it's like, oh my God, that's such a Virgo. And it's just like, dude, and it's such, like, basic people things. Like, it's something that you listening could do, I could do. It's not even something so oh my gosh. It's like such a basic level action that has nothing to do with anybody's zodiac sign, but because they want to feel close to this person or close to this experience, they're like, oh my God, we are such Virgos are such, like, you can't take us anywhere. Like, you were in the video, and that bitch probably not even a Virgo, she's probably a Sagittarius. Like, and like I was saying, even undiagnosed illnesses, like people calling themselves bipolar because they woke up with an attitude and then they ate a piece of cake and now they're not. Like, you were just hungry. Like, you don't need to call yourself bipolar just because you had a slight mood change, you know? And I've even had people, I've mistakenly confided in some people about my diagnosis and about me being depressed. And if you can believe it or not, some people will try to one up my depression by telling me a story that they think is worse, even though they have never been diagnosed with anything in their life, but they try to convince me that they're more depressed than I am because of this certain story. Like, bitch, this isn't battle of mental illnesses. This isn't like battle of who's sad or not. Like, I'm not trying to win. I don't know what you're doing right now, but it's making me uncomfortable as fuck. Like, I didn't just share that sad ass story and traumatizing experience with you just for you to be like, oh, can't beat me with this one. Like, I didn't say that so that you could now dive into your memory, your stash of trauma, and try to beat me with what you got left. Like, I thought we were just having a conversation about a certain topic, but I guess not. You know, it's just like, I don't know. It's just people and experiences that they want so bad, and they can only get it through either being the same zodiac sign or trying to use a illness that they haven't been diagnosed with and probably won't be diagnosed with because you don't have it. And I don't know what's going on, But I don't know why it seems so cool now to be mentally ill. Like, and I know that you guys are probably thinking I'm a hypocrite because I named my podcast all around it. But I named it around it because it's so apparent in my personality, and it's been a common struggle throughout my life with my personal mental illnesses. I don't brag about it. Like, I'm not like out here being like, yeah, I'm sad every day. I cry all the time. I'm fucked up. I got PTSD and I'm depressed. Sometimes I got a little anxiety. Like, I don't do that. But for some reason now, it's so cool to just be like mentally fucked up. And to the people who are mentally fucked up, I promise you, we would trade this bitch for a half a toenail in a second. Like, it's not cool. But all right, guys. To take the heat off, I want to tell you guys a little story because I feel like I was just ranting for like 30 minutes. I just want to tell you guys a little story about the time I did acid and I stood in... let me just tell a story. Hold on. Okay, so personal information about me. When I was a teenager, I used to be super into LSD. I've done shrooms and acid well over about 14 times, right? I know you guys are thinking like, damn, it's not that bad. It's actually a really cool drug. Don't recommend it if you're not like, if you don't do all the reading, all the, like, don't just be out here doing it. I'm not advocating y'all to do drugs now, unless it's a little bit of weed, do your thing. But I used to be quite a fan of it. And my ex put me on at the time. Actually, my first boyfriend ever put me on at the time because he had did it with his friends and he wanted me to try it. And I was like, all right. I did a couple Google searches, went on Reddit, read some people's experiences with it, bad trips and good trips. So I knew what the fuck I was getting into. And I was like, yeah, okay. At this point, I had never done any drug except smoke weed. So I was like going in heavy. Which I think, even if you are a drug connoisseur, I think LSD is the next best drug to get into because ecstasy is exactly what it sounds like. It'll probably have you hooking up with a stranger and shit. I just feel like LSD is like a good, safe drug in the right dosage, It's better than, crack or, all that other shit. So as he was telling me about it, he was telling me the history of it, which I appreciate my first boyfriend so much. I forgot his alias. We're just going to call him... his alias is literally DB. Those are his initials, but it's okay. If anybody knows me, listen to this podcast, you can be like, damn, bitch, we know exactly what you're talking about. It's okay. I'm fine with that. So my first boyfriend, DB, he was really, really smart and he taught me a lot. So he was literally telling me the history of it, where it originated, how it's made, right? So I was like, okay, cool. I trust you. It's fine. Let's do it. We did it and it was the most out-of-body experience I've ever had in my entire life. And I know that's literally what acid is. It makes you have an out-of-body experience, but I forgot how to breathe. It was one of those times where, like, even the first time I smoked weed, I thought my nose was in my throat, and I was, like, breathing through my esophagus. I was like, what is happening? I thought I swallowed my nose. I don't know what the fuck was going on. So, of course, I started to hyperventilate because I don't know... Like, my brain is literally, like, rolling around in my head. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I've never felt this feeling before. So I started to hyperventilate and panic and start crying. And shout out to DB because he was so patient and he knew exactly what to do. And he calmed me down and stuff like that. So he's talking to me and, he's teaching me some more stuff about it. Like, he's telling me to look up at the ceiling so I can see, the spirals and stuff and all the visuals that acid gives you. And he's literally talking me through everything that I'm feeling, everything that I'm experiencing. And that made the trip nice because I trusted him. His voice was so calm. He wasn't freaking out. You know what I mean? He was really just like gliding me through the trip. And I was like, oh shit, we got this. So then we're like maybe 2 hours in. I can control my breathing, like it's fine. We did some research on Reddit to try to like do cool things for sensations on the trip. Like we took a hot shower in the dark, which was crazy. We put an orange in the freezer and ate it. Like it's just a bunch of things to do when you're on acid to stimulate your senses. And he made us try all of it. It was crazy. And then he was like, do you want to go on a drive? And I was like, I don't really know. This is how you know I trusted that boy, because we were like, what, 18, 17? I can't really remember. But I was like, yeah. I literally got into a car with both of us like just rolling on acid. Don't know why. Probably wouldn't do it again now. But that's just how much love I had for him and how much I trusted him. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go on a road trip. And we were in Virginia Beach. I was like, the beach lights are probably going to be crazy while I'm on this. So let's fucking do it. So we did it. We put on Chance the Rapper's Acid Rap. That was the first time I ever listened to the album. And my mind was blown because it's like he made the album on acid. So when you listen to it on acid, it's like, this nigga's a genius. Chance don't even make music like that no more. That shit make me sick. Anyway, so we're riding down the beach. And he's talking to me. We're singing. And then we pull over. We have this like very deep psychological like worldview conversation. If you've ever done acid more than once, you know the conversations I'm talking about. You know, we both start crying because we realize the answer to all this shit is just love, and we're having like the most stoner chat conversation ever, right? So then he tells me that he needs to go to Walgreens. It's not even like midnight. I know this night sounds like it would be like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's maybe 10 p.m., right? So niggas is just outside doing acid. Like, it's not late. Like, there are other people outside as well. So then he tells me that he needs to go to Walgreens because he has to get something. What he needed, can't remember. Don't even think he told me for real. So DB was one of those guys that didn't really like to, I don't want to make it sound like I'm giving him an insult, but like he was one of those guys that didn't want to go, if he just left a gas station and he forgot to buy something, he won't go in the same gas station. Or if like he goes through a drive-through and they give him the wrong food, he doesn't want to go back and tell him that they gave him the wrong food. I'm gonna do it because I'm not eating what the fuck you just decided to put in my bag. I'm gonna go get what the fuck I asked for and what I paid for. He was one of those people. So he didn't want to go into this Walgreens like tripping out. So he asked me if I could go in there and get it. And I was like, yeah, I got you. So I get out, go into the Walgreens. I don't even know what he told me to go in there and get. As I'm getting out of the car, I cannot remember what he tells me to go in here and get. Still to this day, I don't remember what he told me to go in there and get. It's a Walgreens. I don't know what specifically he needed out of a Walgreens. Really don't know. So I go in the Walgreens and I'm like in this lotion body cream area. And I'm there for like 2 minutes. And I'm just reading shit because I don't know what I'm in there supposed to get, right? Reading shit, like 5-10 minutes. All of a sudden, I feel a tap on my shoulder and I look up and it's like one of the, oh my gosh, such a crackhead. And it was like one of the cashiers in Walgreens. There was 2 girls on there. I remember when I walked in and she was like, hey boo, you good? And I was like, yeah, what's up? She was like, well, we're closing and I just wanted to know if you were okay. And I was like, oh yeah. How long have I been standing right here? She was like 2, almost 3 hours. Yo, when I tell you, my heart sank so fucking fast. I was like, She was like, yeah, girl, you've been standing like in this one spot for almost 3 hours. I was like, I wanted to start crying. I was like, oh shit, can you imagine how that must have looked outside of me? Like, they were probably up at the front desk looking at me like, what the fuck is she doing? I probably looked insane. And I could have sworn I was only standing there for like 5-10 minutes, maybe 20 max. So when she said 3 hours, I felt like my heart beat outside of my body. I was like, oh shit. And I just felt so like embarrassed that I didn't know what to say. And she was like, are you on shrooms? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh my God, we just did that the other day. And then she called the girl that was also at the front, at the cashier spot. She was like, oh my God, she's tripping. And then we all just like started having a long ass conversation about it. Like, she was like, oh my God, girl, I did it with my man the first time and I was so scared. Oh my God, I shitted on myself. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, we just started having a conversation about acid. So that put me in Walgreens for a total of maybe like 4.5 hours, because I don't know how long I was talking to them girls, because I thought I was standing reading lotions for 10 minutes when it's been 2 hours. Y'all, when I tell y'all I've never felt like a crackhead in my entire life, then this is the kicker. That's not even the best part. I get back in the car. my boyfriend is just sitting there. And I'm like, not once did he ask me about what he sent me in the Walgreens for. He was like, you ready? I was like, do you know I was in that Walgreens for 2 hours? He was like, no, you weren't. I was like, I promise you I was. They just told me I was in, like, the sun is, like, it's midnight. Like, it's well into 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, I was in there forever. He was like, damn, I thought you was in there for like 10 minutes. I was like, well, what have you been doing? He's like, I was just sitting here listening to music. Never once did we talk about the ointment, the lotion, the cream. I don't know what the fuck he sent me in there for. Never once did he ask me if I got it. He didn't ask me shit about Walgreens. So I was just like, let's go ahead and call it a night. Let's go ahead and go home. Cause I'm not true to this. I'm new to this. And this shit's starting to feel like a fever dream. I don't know what to do. Let's go home and lay it down. The bad thing about acid is that when you want it to be over, it's nowhere near from being over. That's why if you ever do want to try any form of LSD, I recommend shrooms, because shrooms are only 4 hours. Acid is about 8 or 9. And we used to double tab. So we was tripping for, it felt like days. And you can't go to sleep. If you are somebody that said, yeah, I took a nap while I was on acid, I don't know what the hell you took, but it wasn't acid. Because no, the fuck you can't. You can only close your eyes. And you can't even do that for more than 5 minutes, because then you start to feel like your body is swallowing itself. So no, you haven't. Okay? It's scary as fuck. Only if you don't know, what you're doing. But it's I promise you, it's not a scary drug. It's just that first time, it's crazy. Oh my gosh. And then I have another acid story. Okay, I promise I'm about to wrap the episode up, guys. Wait. Okay, so this is a little bit TMI, but y'all grown. Y'all can handle it. Sex on acid is probably one of the most amazing things on this earth, right? So me and my ex, the same one, DB, used to do acid so we could have acid sex, because it was phenomenal. It felt sinful. Honestly, it did. And one time we were hanging with my homegirl, who is an asshole, who is not my homegirl anymore, but she always said she wanted to try LSD. And I was like, oh, we've done this. At this time, me and DB have done acid together maybe 6 times. So I was like, oh, we're pros at it. We would love for your first time to do acid would be with us, right? And this girl, her name was like Taylor or something like that. And Taylor had a girlfriend named Cam at the time. We didn't know Cam was coming. Okay. Oh, no. No, I'm right. I thought, oh, no. The first time we did acid with Taylor, we did it by herself. We dropped her off at home. The second time we did it together, she brought her girlfriend, Cam. Now, they were both calm because Taylor was tripping out the first time. She was literally losing her mind. And now, that's crazy because now she do acid all the time. She be going to raves and shit like that. That's crazy how you just start somebody's journey off. But anyway, me and DB knew that we wanted to have sex on acid. And I feel like Cam and Taylor started like crying in the car. So we just like pulled up next to him and was like, hey, are y'all okay? And they were like, yeah. And then we were like, do you mind if we go home? They were like, no. And I was like, okay. So then we went home, had sex, had a great time. I text Taylor because I hate when I stutter. I like glitch out every time. But I text Taylor to see like where they were, how they were doing. Why were they still in the same spot that we left him like hours ago? I was like, let's go pick him up. Let's go get him. Because they were just too scared to drive off in their own car because they were, tripping. So we had to go pick them up, take them back to their house, and then take them back to their cars after. It was crazy, but I got so many acid stories, y'all. Oh my gosh, wait, one more, wait. I know y'all like, bitch, we do not want to listen to this. Okay, wait, y'all. Okay, wait. So one time I called myself being grown, right? I think at this time I was like 19. And I wanted to do acid by myself because I think my boyfriend at the time, DB, was in Canada visiting family. I can't remember. He was somewhere out the state. And I really wanted to do acid. So I was like, I'm going to do it by myself. Never done it by myself before, right? I used to drive a little Fiat. If y'all know what a Fiat is, it's a car the size of a chicken nugget, right? And it was pastel green. Cutest car I've ever driven in my life. Had a little sunroof. When I was in Virginia Beach, I felt like that bitch. Oh my God. Even though nobody else did, I felt like it because I was having a time of my life. Just smoking weed, driving my little beach car. So luckily I drove to the beach. Beach was only like maybe 10 minutes away from my house. And then I took the tab. I would always go to the beach with 2 blunts, a Jersey Mike sandwich, and a blanket. Because that was just what I did when I had some spare time, and I used to go by myself. So this time I only rolled one blunt, I had the acid, and I had a Jersey Mike sandwich and a big blanket. Drove to the beach, took the tab, smoked the blunt, so when the trip starts to come in, I can already be high and it won't be as intense as it was, as it sometimes gets. Y'all, I took that damn acid. Oh, I had a wonderful time. I don't want to make it seem like I had a bad time. I had a great time tripping on the beach by myself. Got in the water. The water felt so good. Probably the only time I've ever gotten in Virginia Beach water, because that shit oily as fuck. Played with some crabs, saw some dolphins. I don't know if they were really there or not, but I had a great time, okay? It was the end of the trip where I felt like I was in the Truman Show. I was losing my fucking mind because I could not remember where the fuck I parked my car. Oh my gosh. And I thought that I had walked in a straight line to get from the car park to the spot that I was chilling on the beach. I think I walked up and down the beach, the entire beach, at least 3-4 times looking for my car. And I just started crying. I was like, I don't know what to do. So I sat my ass down, spread my blanket out, and I just laid on my back for like 5 hours waiting for the acid to like do its course, so that the next time I stand up, I can have a little bit more consciousness of where the fuck I am and where my car is. Oh my gosh, that was the longest 5 hours of my life. Because like I just said, you can't go to sleep. And I don't know why I didn't decide to like be on my phone. I'm not really on the phone type bitch anyway, but I was just laying there looking up at the sky, just hoping that I can sober up faster so I could get in my car and go home. And then when I finally did find my car, I was too afraid to drive because I was like, what if I like crash into somebody else? Like, what if I don't do the whole, under the influence driving and shit. So then when I found my car, I sat in my car for an additional 2 hours. Boyfriend calling me, mom calling me. Everybody's like, where the fuck did you go? I was like, listen, I had a day. I went home, took a shower, laid it on down. I was like, And I started the day at like 8 o'clock in the morning. I didn't get back home until like 9 o'clock at night. I was like, I'm never doing this shit again. And I have never done acid again by myself after that. I did it a couple more times with my man. And then I did it again with him and like 2 of his friends. We all went to like this private beach area, out the beach. But yeah, that was one of the last times I did acid because I felt like a maniac. I was like, okay, clearly when I'm on this boat, it needs to be driven by somebody else because I can't do this shit by myself. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up the episode soon, but I just want to talk to you guys about something that you either have it or you don't, okay? And I'm one of the ones that don't. But can we talk about how being good at math is like genuinely a superpower? Can we just talk about that for a second? Because I don't think a lot of people understand. And it's crazy because I'm the exact opposite. I was a reader in school. I was an English bitch. Fun fact about me, I graduated early in English. So by the time I was a senior in high school, I didn't have an English class because I did it in 11th grade. I was always in a higher English class than the grade that I was in. I was one of those students that got to read in front of the principal. I got free shit in the Scholastic Book Fair because my shit was, I had an A+ every time. I was one of those kids that used to cut off the kid that couldn't read to finish reading because I was getting a headache and I don't got time for you to be stuttering on the same word and we got all this shit to read. I was definitely one of them kids. I'm not going to hold y'all. But when it came to long division, adding, subtracting, and any type of mental math, I was like, oh, my brain computes this as if I was reading Russian. I just don't know how to do it. Still to this day, I'm not afraid to admit that when I get asked a math question, a bitch is pulling out fingers. Like, I'm like, okay, bet. Like, my mental math is just non-existent. Like, I don't have it. And it makes me so upset when I see people who are genuinely good at math, where you can ask them, what's 7 times 8? And they'll be like, fucking 40. Like, they can just answer that shit off the whim. You motherfuckers don't realize how special of a gift that is. When people say God really do have favorites, you motherfuckers need to be the first people that put your hands up. That is not only a gift, but I promise y'all that's a superpower. To have that side of your brain to just be unlocked all the fucking time, to where you can retain that unnecessary ass, long ass information is crazy. And if you're genuinely bad at math, like I just said, I don't have any mental math. Anytime I see any type of math question, that's not like what's obviously 2 plus 2. Anytime it's any like in-depth math equation, I really have to sit and think about it because I don't know. And I don't know what I don't know. I don't understand what I don't even understand about math. I just don't fucking get it. Like I just said, it's almost like I'm reading a different language because y is 1x out of parentheses and 1y is, and it's supposed to mean I'm supposed to do 2 different shits with both of them. I can't get it. And for somebody to be able to look at that and be like, oh, you just fucking carry the y plus times the 2 divided by 1 equal, like, excuse me? I feel like that is a gift that not a lot of people appreciate. And it's always, well, not always, but most of the time, when you come across somebody that's good at math like that, they can't read or they can't spell. And when you come across people who can read and can spell, they can't add, subtract, or divide a fuck thing. So I just think that's always funny because it really shows you like what side of your brain is really good at focusing and comprehending and retaining than the other. Because I used to always, brag about it as a kid. There's not no word I can spell. There's not no word I can't spell. There isn't a word I can't pronounce. There isn't a book I can't read. Like, bitches was reading big books in like 5th grade. And I was like, and I used to be a little asshole because I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm in 7th grade English. I don't know about you bitches, but I got a golden star when we were reading To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't see any of you bitches with one, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. And then I get to like pre-algebra and I'm the quietest bitch in the class because I have never understood what was going on in this bitch. So I've always just found that interesting. And also, my birth mom, when I was living with her, she couldn't read. And when I tell y'all that shit used to piss me off, I remember one time, and I'm surprised I remember this because I was dumb young, but she used to have like college classes and she used to have to like write papers and shit like that. She would literally hand to God. Or hand to, whoever you believe in. Sorry. She would literally give me her paper to read over it to make sure she didn't misspell anything. And I promise y'all I'm not lying. My mother used to give her child, and I was maybe 5 or 6, I'm gonna say a hot 7. She used to give me her papers to read over it to make sure she didn't spell a word. And I remember one time she was spelling something, but she put the word octopus in it, which is crazy because octopus is my favorite animal now. That's wild. The way she spelled octopus was a abomination. I was like, there's no way you thought that these letters that you put here spell out octopus. I got so frustrated with her because I was like, how are you my mom and you can't spell? Like, you're supposed to be teaching me. Why do you think that this spelled octopus? Girl. But if you are one of those rare people that are good at math and even better at like reading and, phonics skills and all that stuff and spelling, then I think you just might as well be a mutant because that's amazing. I honestly never met anybody that was good at both. Like I just said, it's either you can do one or the other really well. And I just so happen to fall under the category of I just can't do mental math. And, that's just my truth. I just can't. But all right, guys, I'm going to end the episode here. I just want to give you guys like a quick little like outro. I don't know why. You guys know that like I suffer with depression and stuff like that. I say it almost every episode. And I find it comforting to talk about suicide because anytime I try to talk about it with people who I should talk about it with, they always end up giving me pity or some type of, you're worthy, you don't need to do this. And all of that is great, but sometimes you don't want to hear this bullshit. Sometimes you just want to joke about shit, right? Sometimes the most morbid shit makes you laugh when you joke about it, okay? So I just want to leave you guys off with this morbid / joke that I think is funny. And maybe you might not, okay? But listen. Every time I think about killing myself, my ass gets a little fatter. And I don't know how to feel about that. Every time I'm thinking, you know what? Fuck all this. Fuck all of it. I'm just ready to go. I go in the mirror, or when I'm about to take a shower, I turn around a little bit and I'm just like double cheeked up. And I'm just like, damn. We weren't looking like that yesterday or a couple hours ago. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's a placebo. I don't know what it is. My mind telling me, stay here for the cheeks. stay here for the cheeks because they looking good. And then the crazy thing about that is the next morning I'll wake up and I'll feel so good about myself. I'll turn around, ass flatter than the water Jesus walked on. I don't know, y'all. Okay, that's it. Okay, guys, that's the end of the episode. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and you know your girl's on TikTok. Let's make this podcast the podcast, okay, y'all? I want to hear you talk about it in the streets. 5 stars if you're feeling frisky, and 5 stars even if you're not. All the beautiful music in this episode is by the amazing Zoe Marie. Zoe's music can be found on all streaming platforms, so please go listen and love it just like I do. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.